All right. Hey guys, this is Jacob Ruki here for episode 3 of Survival of the Fittest: How to Win Survivor. Of course, I'm joined as usual by Nate Baruki and Kearney Shine, and also we got a special guest for the first time. We got the winner of Survivor Grand Rapids. We got Jeremy here with us. Welcome to the
Hey,
podcast.
hey guys.
Yeah. So all three of us played in this season, so we'll talk about that. And we've got Demira as well, who's gonna be a two-time finalist, which is crazy. And we've already talked about how just good Demira is, but we'll get to gush more about that. And Kearney will get to put in his input as we go along. So, all right, here we go. So I believe when we got there, so I believe Nate's mom was the host because I was playing as well. And I believe it was billed as Nate versus me. So Nate and we got put on different tribes. And I believe leading up to it, I remember like all three of us plus like we all had like pregame alliances going on from what I can remember. I think sometimes just pre-gaming just ends up happening when you kind of know these people. And um, and for my advice, as we'll get into, I don't think pre-game alliances always work. But we'll get into that. Um, and so then everybody else was randomly divided between the two tribes of Nate and I. And so my tribe ended up being me, Josiah, Sam, AJ, Samir, and Emily. And then your guys' tribe ended up being Jeremy, Nate, Josh, Trevor, Demira, and Cassie. Um, so we'll get into it. The first challenge was the one with we had to swim in the pool to get the puzzle pieces, and then two members of each team had to solve the puzzle. And I remember being like, well, I'm going to do really well at this puzzle. And then Jeremy destroyed me in the puzzle. So, so I guess you guys won, you and Nate won the first challenge. So I guess what were your guys' thoughts on winning the first challenge?
Well, first off, that challenge was pretty well thought. I loved that challenge.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I really don't know what to go from it, but it was really challenging. And once we won, I thought it was time to get out you and your basically your friends.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously it was my friends against your friends, and more realistically, especially going into the merge. So I wanted to take you out. I was cold blooded. I was gunning for you. Right. I wanted to ruin your event. I wanted to take home the gold.
Yeah.
I'll let Jeremy go on from there, but
yeah, I think just getting into it that first challenge and just kind of getting a feel for the teams. Obviously, I knew a good number of the people that were playing, but then there were Jake, some friends that you had brought along that I was getting to know, and like you had mentioned earlier about the pregame stuff and just talking with you quite a bit before doing this and kind of having that alliance, knowing that you were on the other tribe, and yet how quickly that changed being with Nate and then trying to take you out. So
yeah. Yeah. And we can we'll shortly get into everything that happened at your guys' first travel, because I do remember some fun stuff that happened there. Maybe not so fun for Nate, but so the first tribal, my tribe goes to tribal. My tribe doesn't talk strategy at all, so we're just going to tribal. I have no idea what anybody else is doing except maybe like Samir and AJ, and because AJ was kind of slower in the water part of the challenge, I told Samir, I'm like, we shouldn't. I just don't want to make this really simple and just get rid of. Because our plan was originally to target Emily and just make it an easy vote with keep Josiah and Sam as like the big meat shields. But then I was like to Samir, well, if we get rid of AJ and then Emily, like we can go to the merge with like bigger shields in front of us. And I didn't want to have you guys thinking I had all these alliances with everybody else. So I thought cutting out AJ was the best way to make me seem less powerful. And so once it got to the tribal, Samir and I voted for AJ. AJ voted for Emily because he thought that's what we were doing. Josiah and Sam voted Samir, and then Emily kind of broke the rules. She voted for herself, which shouldn't have really been allowed, but it got allowed anyway. And then the revote, I switched my vote to Emily because I didn't realize Emily voted for herself. So I thought Josiah and Sam had voted separately, but they ended up voting together, and so Samir went out. And I think Samir kind of got screwed out of, like, I felt bad that he was just sitting there for the rest of the day after being voted out first, but I guess that's just how it is being voted out first. So I don't know what your guys' thoughts on Samir were for the first vote. I guess what were your guys' reactions?
I mean, it was him or AJ, I thought, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe my sister, because she was kind of useless, if we're being honest. She was just a body. We understand. Yeah, I mean, I guess it was. I'm not surprised it was Samir, but I figured he had a little bit stronger social game than AJ did. So I guess I'm a little surprised there that he was taken before AJ.
Yeah. Jeremy, what were your thoughts?
I just remember Samir being really disappointed being first out.
Yeah.
I know that he had come a long way to play, and then to be the first out, that sucks, having to sit on the sidelines for the rest of the day.
Well, and I just feel like Emily being allowed to vote for herself. I mean, Samir technically shouldn't have been the first one out unless Emily would have voted for him. But I think, judging from our next vote, I think Emily probably, if she wasn't allowed to vote for herself, she probably would have voted AJ out. So I feel bad that Samir was the first one out because I don't necessarily think he deserved that. But Kearney, what do you think? Because you played with Samir as well in the previous season, so I guess are you surprised to hear that Samir was first out?
Yeah, I didn't realize my boy got. I mean, that's rough, especially when someone else voted for themselves. You would hope they'd be the one going out. So I had a good chance. I don't know. Like, that's rough. I didn't know that happened.
Yeah. And especially because I had Samir's back that entire. If it was at the merge, my alliance was going to be with Jeremy, Demira, and Samir, and then target Nate, but that didn't end up happening because Samir went out immediately. So, and so then we get to the second challenge, and this one was pretty fun. This one was with the dice block, and it was the one where you had to run down the hill and grab the dice block and try to run back up the hill before the other person. And Nate, I remember beating you in this challenge, and that was the highlight of my game right there.
Congrats on beating me running up a hill.
Yeah.
We all know me moving fast don't really get along great, so
yeah,
it was definitely already an uphill battle, but actually then running uphill just made it that much worse.
Yeah. And Jeremy,
Nate, can I just say, Nate, your venue for this event was perfect with that pool and the hill, and just what a great place to hold a Survivor event.
Oh, I agree. It was great. So I know my mom sold the house, but that's
really?
Yeah, just sold it. Just moved out. But
it's a shame.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's two things you need for a game of Survivor. The pools for sure. Yeah.
I'll give Nate's mom credit. I think that the challenges were really well done.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we get so you guys end up losing. I believe Emily and Cassie is the last round. It's tied 2 points each, and we're playing at 3. And Emily narrowly beats Cassie for that last point. So, which was I was worried that my tribe was gonna have to go to tribal again, and that I was gonna be targeted. But luckily we were able to pull it off, and you guys had to go to tribal. And I guess real quick before we go to what both you guys think of what happened, I remember Jeremy, you coming out before you guys went in, and you're like, you asked me who you should go for, and just kind of as a joke, but also I just thought it'd be funny if I just said, what if you targeted Nate? And you're like, let me see what I can do. And you just guys went into tribals. So now you guys can talk about what happened.
I mean, I don't even know what happened, honestly. I don't really remember.
Okay.
I mean, I know I didn't get voted on to the very end, but I don't remember I got votes before that at all. So I don't know if I was on a hot seat beforehand.
Well, and I do remember, because Jake and I had kind of a pregame alliance, having a lot of side conversations with Jake in between, even when it may not necessarily have gone that way. I just wanted to keep my alliance with Jake alive so that when the merge happened, we could continue on. So that was definitely part of my game plan, was to just stick with the original alliance. And I feel like I did that. So
yeah. So I believe Jeremy, you tried to get Demira to vote Nate out, and I believe you and Cassie both voted for Nate initially, and Nate and Demira voted for Cassie, and I don't know what Trevor and Josh did. I can't even remember, because I wasn't at that tribal, so I don't know what happened exactly, but I believe it was a tie between Nate and Cassie, and then on the revote, I'm assuming you guys didn't want to go to Rocks, you just eliminated Cassie.
I don't remember exactly, but I think Josh voted for me, or Trevor voted for me to get voted out. But I think Josh was my saving grace.
Mm-hmm. So he voted Cassie.
Not positive, but from him being the only person who actually threw me a pity vote in the finals, I mean, I'm assuming that's what he did.
Yeah, I would actually assume Josh was the one that saved you too. So, I mean, and I remember Demira telling me that because Jeremy tried to get him to vote out Nate, Demira was always in this swing vote position where, he had the decision to make, and so he just decided to vote for Cassie, though. I thought he told me that once that it was a coin flip or something, and he just ended up picking landing on Cassie with the coin flip. So, I mean, Nate, you got extremely lucky there, I guess.
Well, even I don't know if this is actually true, but I have a feeling that in that time I would have loved to have seen Nate get voted out before his sister. I don't know why. I just feel like that would have been a good.
That would have destroyed my pretty good.
To be honest, though, if Nate would have gone second, I feel like Josiah and Sam would have looked at that and been like, let's get rid of Jake now. I think I would have been dead. Yeah. I would have been dead immediately after, so I'm actually happy Nate stayed, because it made me less of a target, I guess, because they wanted me to help them take Nate out. And so so thank you, Nate, for not getting voted out.
I play Russell Hands in the season Survivor. That's how I'll compare myself.
So yeah, then we get to the next challenge, and this is called My Epic Fail at a Challenge, if I remember correctly. And this was the slip and slide challenge with the balloons, and you had to blow up.
That was right.
You had to blow up the balloons and then try to pop it as you slid back. And I completely botched this challenge. A, I can't blow up a balloon to save my life, and 2, I'm so not heavy that I can't. I don't know. I'm just not good at popping balloons either. So this was my worst challenge. And I was definitely lucky to not be voted out after this, but I guess I had a better social game than the other people there, some of the other people there. So I believe what happened next, so we lost because you guys dominated that challenge, wasn't even close. And I remember after that, because Samira got voted out, I no longer trusted Josiah and Sam. And so I went up to AJ and Emily and was like, hey, let's make a move and let's vote out one of the two of them right now because we have the numbers to do it. And I don't know if you guys were thinking that was going to happen and that we were going to end up voting out one of the biggest threats. I mean, did you guys think that Josiah and Sam were going?
I did not, but that is definitely a big move.
Mm-hmm.
Either one of them could make the finals, and they could have gotten the votes.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's definitely a big move.
Yeah.
I think for both Josiah and Sam, just being big targets to begin with. I mean, athletic, big.
Mhm.
You're doing these physical challenges. They're going to have targets on their back. So and they had to go.
Right. Well, it didn't end up happening this soon, but what happened was, so Emily and AJ and I agreed we're doing this, and I said I was thinking more so Sam because I thought Josiah was actually like a fan of Survivor as well, so I wanted to keep Josiah around a little bit longer. But then Emily was like, "No, I want to do Josiah," and so because we needed her, AJ and I were like, "Okay, we'll do Josiah." Tribal Council comes around. It's tied 2 for Josiah, 2 for AJ. And I was relieved to not see my name come up because I thought my name was coming up. And then the last vote turns around and it's for AJ. And apparently Emily flipped. I don't know how she knew. I mean, I guess it's not that hard to figure out AJ was the target, but like she ends up flipping out of nowhere and blindsides AJ. And at that point, I'm just like, well, if we lose again, I'm definitely dead because they're gonna assume that I tried to get them out. So, rip AJ. And I remember Emily telling me after, she's like, AJ's head wasn't in the game. That's why I voted him out. And I was just like, all right. Kearney, you met AJ before, right?
Well, wait, from one from your neighborhood, right?
Yeah, and he came to film a little bit of the previous season, I believe, the Second Chance.
Yeah, no, we met multiple times.
Yeah. He's not the most social person, is how I'll put it.
No, not trying to hate or anything, but that's definitely not where I figured his strengths would lie.
Yeah. So, all right. So then we go to the 4th challenge, and this is the disgusting food challenge Jeremy brought up before we hit record, and this was the one my tribe ended up winning, but I believe there were like there were canned peaches. I remember Sam had to eat those, and I thought Sam cut his hand open or something on the can, if I remember. And Josiah had to eat like those Harry Potter flavored jelly beans or whatever, where they're just like all those disgusting flavors, like boogers and stuff.
He was puking.
Yeah. Oh, Emily puked. Her and Demira had to eat like I can't remember what they had to eat, but they had to eat some sort of like sauce or something, and Emily just straight up puked. Like that was
some kind of.
Yeah, some kind of sauce. It was like I don't know if it was like spicy sauce or something. I can't remember. But
That sounds very suspicious, Brookie.
I can't remember. I wasn't the one who.
Some mysterious sauce that makes people throw up. I don't know about that.
So yeah, we get to so yeah, we end up winning. I can't remember the score of the challenge. But I remember Nate and I had a showdown again, and I think we both won 1 point for our team. I remember one of them. I think I ended up dropping stuff out of my cup, so I had to pick it up and eat it, and that was pretty disgusting. But yeah, so you guys ended up going to Tribal, and I guess, from what I remember, I believe Trevor was out next. I guess you guys and Demira ended up forming an alliance.
No, we absolutely did. We had a deal to at least take out the rest of our tribe and then kick it, final 3 at least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you guys picked Trevor over Josh.
Yeah.
Yeah, was there any specific reason? Was it because, Nate, you thought that Josh saved you?
It might have been, I think Josh is, maybe because Josh's head was more in the game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Trevor really cared for Survivor. I'm not really sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, memory's not too vivid on it, but...
Right.
I can agree to that. I remember Trevor being kind of nonchalant.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't even know. Either one of them, Josh or Trevor, would have made it, been voted out. It would still been a challenge for the plank competition, I think, that's the next one, isn't it?
No, that was the one I got voted out on at Final 5.
Oh, okay. Never mind then, yeah.
So we'll get to my vote out. I know people are anxiously awaiting my blind side, but we'll get to it. So then we have the final. We had like a food break and at that point, I just wanted the merge to happen because I was ready to get to that point. But we had one more challenge, and before the merge, and it was the one where you had to fill up the buckets of water. Like you had to take the water, fill it up, and then pass it to your teammates to get them into the bigger bucket. And I thought this challenge was really, really fun. I think I suggested it to Aunt Tammy, and she picked it. So this was definitely one I was excited to see. So
no, it was definitely a good challenge, that's for sure.
And it
I
was
don't
close.
remember who won, but
you guys won, I believe. It was very, very close though. Like I believe we were in the lead for a little bit. I don't know if necessarily. I remember that something happened where we ran out of water in our like tub or whatever. So like they just I don't know, like they just said that it was a fair ruling that you guys won, which is fine. But I remember that, I think, and like my tribe was like I was really pissed that we lost that challenge because I did not want to go again, especially after AJ got voted out, because I was like, well, I'm probably screwed right now. And so, but then probably my proudest moment of the season, right before Tribal, I pulled Josiah and Sam aside, and I guess Emily's somewhere else, and I'm just like, hey, take me to the merge, let's get rid of Emily, because she's a massive wild card, and I'll try to flip Demira and Jeremy, and we can try to take out Nate, is what I told them. And then, and they listened to me, and at Tribal, Emily thought I was going to tie it up with her against Josiah for some reason. I'm not sure why. And then we just ended up voting out Emily. I remember Emily called me a traitor. I was like, I mean, you voted AJ out the last round, so I mean, I think it's fair game. But what do you guys think of Emily's game? Because I feel like she's not a great Survivor player. I mean, Nate, you can...
I can attest to that. I mean, she did make it farther than a lot of both our friends. So, I mean, she seemed like her head was in the game. She didn't know all the rules, I guess, at first.
Yeah.
I don't know. She definitely played better than what we all expected, though. I can say that.
I'll agree with that. I mean, she technically blindsided me by getting rid of AJ, so that's a big move right there. But it probably wasn't the right move because, I mean, to be fair though, I mean, I don't think it was the right move because she was gone next off our tribe. But like, also she could have been that way anyways had she voted out Josiah, because we could have just kept Sam for being a challenge threat or something, you know. So it could have gone either way. But then we make the merge, and I'm really excited to get back with you guys because I knew that if there was even one more challenge at that point, I knew I was dead if we didn't merge. So getting to the merge was a huge accomplishment. What was your guys' reaction to making the merge?
I mean, I wasn't really that excited because I already expected to be there. I mean, like I said, it's gold. You know, it's gold or broke. Going broke. If you ain't first, you last. Ricky Bobby. So.
Oh my. Yeah.
Which is also why I wanted Nate out. Even though I was on his tribe, I wanted him gone.
Yeah. We were so close. But yeah, so we get to the merge, and I believe the first individual immunity is the lightning challenge, and this one is won by Nate. So congrats, Nate! You won I think this is your second individual immunity because you had won the one of them in the previous season. So, I believe in your Survivor career you've won 2. So, which
I'll take the win, that's for sure.
Yeah. So. Now I believe this is where we, us three and Demira, we decided to have our final 4 pact, and we went for Josiah. And I believe Josiah and Sam, I had told them also at the Emily vote, I told them, I asked them who they would want a gun for first at the merge, and they said Nate or Josh. And so, like, because Nate won immunity, they wanted to go for Josh, but I guess they didn't. I don't remember if they even tried talking to you guys because they thought I was flipping Jeremy and Demira over, and that we were going to vote Josh out, but I ended up joining you guys. And I remember I just didn't want to push, because also Nate was you were like making sure that nobody like did anything crazy. So I just remember you being around. I didn't want to try to push too hard and get myself on the chopping block. So I just decided to go with you guys to get rid of Josiah. I remember that. But what were you guys' what did you guys see when we voted out Josiah?
I was definitely relieved because Josh and I had an alliance going in that we wanted to rock with each other.
Mm-hmm.
But so I didn't. Obviously, I had his back until I could no longer protect him. But
right.
No, I was definitely relieved when I saw Josiah go because he's still a pretty big physical target.
Yeah.
Physical threat. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
No, I agree, Nate. I think just watching, not knowing Josiah going into it, but then also just remembering, he's going to be a problem if we get farther in the game physically. He could go on a run, and there's not a whole lot we could have done about it. So it was a good thing to get him out right away.
Yeah, and I mean, I just didn't trust him after that Samir vote, particularly where they got rid of who I wanted to work with most on my tribe, and so I was just like, I feel like Josiah, he had control of my tribe pre-merge, but I just feel like he should have probably tried talking strategy with me more to try to get me on his side, and he didn't really do that. And I think one of my regrets that I've said, though, is actually not trying to work with Josiah. And I think if he and I had worked together a little bit longer, I think I probably could have made it past where I got voted out. Maybe. But we can talk about that. And I remember after Josiah's vote out, I don't know if you guys heard this, but I just remember Sam, I was walking out of Tribal with Demira, and I heard Sam behind us. He's like, what the hell just happened? And I'm just like, and I just was kind of laughing because it's like, it's called a blind side.
Welcome to Survivor.
Yeah. So.
It's the first time for everybody. You never forget your first blind side.
Yeah, the taste of blood.
Never.
Yeah, so we get to Final 6, and this is the one with the hill challenge again, but it's with balloons between our legs, and we had to hop down and get puzzle pieces, and then get back up and solve the puzzle. This was a good challenge, too.
That was brutal. I remember that being extremely challenging.
Yeah. Yeah,
it was probably even worse for me just because I got thunder thighs, and I'm still a big man who can't really run fast, so...
Yeah.
Did you pop your balloon?
If I remember this right, did Sam win this one?
No, Sam quit in 1 minute into the challenge. Josh won this challenge.
Josh won, okay.
Yeah, Sam shouldn't have quit the challenge because we were gonna target him next. So I mean, it's kind of his fault. But I just remember in this challenge, I got down to the bottom of the hill, and it was like me and Demira left who hadn't gotten our pieces. And I remember getting one of the boxes of pieces, and he's like, hey, that's mine. And I'm like, all right. I mean, if I can drop it if you like. He's like, yeah. So I just dropped it. I probably should have just taken it. But also I didn't want to piss someone off, so I just decided to not rub it in Demira's face. But no, Josh just had a big lead in this challenge. I didn't have enough time to make up on the puzzle, but Josh is definitely one of those underrated challenge beasts too. I mean, I think Josh is someone in any season that can win multiple immunities. So,
no, he's definitely a good competitor.
Yeah. Yeah. So we get to the final 6 vote, and I believe Sam and Josh I thought they tried to take either Jeremy out or they tried to take Nate out, but they didn't talk to anybody, so our 4 just stuck together and we voted out Sam, I think. Which, I mean, if they had tried actually talking to people, then, I mean, that I don't know that any of us would have taken it into consideration at that point, but I don't know. I'll never give up. Don't always try to
always talk game.
Yeah, always try to work things to your advantage. So I ended up being the last member of my original tribe, though. So I mean, I guess I'll take that. So final 5. Basically, from what I remember, we were planning to vote Josh off next. But it was the planking challenge, and Josh came down to Josh and Nate, and Josh ended up winning that challenge. So threw everything into a tailspin a little bit.
I was still hurt because I was really going for gold. I was really trying to win that.
Yeah.
I wanted to prove to everyone that just because I was, I was a force to be reckoned with. It still stings to this day, honestly.
Oh yeah,
I thought I had it.
You're telling me I needed that challenge to cement that I wasn't going home. But yeah, so because of that, we had to turn on each other. I remember I was trying to get Jeremy and Demira, like we were gonna get rid of Nate, but then you and Josh talked to
Boy,
Demira.
you still there?
All right, so it's not just me. Did you just see Jake go too?
It
Yeah.
was froze in my screen.
Okay.
Am I good?
I think we're all in the same
I
boat.
thought I was about to get kicked. I was wondering.
Am I good?
You're out.
You're back now.
You're
You were
back.
gone for a minute there.
We're back now.
Sorry. So as I was
Okay.
saying, so I remember I was talking to Jeremy and Demira about trying to get Nate out, and then Nate and Josh tried to get Demira to flip. And I'll admit it, I was getting cocky, but at the one time I got comfortable, because throughout the rest of the game I didn't feel comfortable at all. I thought I was going to be targeted every single tribal up till I got voted out, and then the tribal that I get voted out is when I feel the most comfortable, and of course that's when I get blindsided. So I mean, never get comfortable is my advice. And Demira ends up flipping, and I kind of wish I had also just said something to him right before he went in and voted. But, yeah, I mean, Demira makes his big move, and I respect him for that. That's a big game move, and I think to me, it earns him a lot of respect because he was able to separate himself as a player from me. So I think that definitely earns him a lot of respect in my mind. So, and I just remember saying GG. And I remember going out after I got blindsided too, and Josiah and Sam were pissed at me. I remember that. They were pissed because they were like, we could have gotten to the end of the game if you had just not flipped on us. I was like, I mean, I didn't really necessarily have a choice unless I rocked the boat a little bit. But I mean, you guys can give me a fair criticism. I think my biggest mistake was either not working with Josiah a little bit longer, or at the final 5 vote, if I'd thrown you, Jeremy, or if I'd thrown Demira under the bus to Nate, I think maybe I could have pulled off saving myself.
Jake, if I remember right, and maybe I'm wrong, but I don't remember you thinking Demira actually turned on you when it happened originally.
Yeah.
That you didn't figure that out until we were doing our final tribal council and making our cases, and then you realized at that time that Demira had flipped on you.
Yeah, I thought it was you.
Yeah. It was not me.
Yeah, no, I figured that out afterwards, and I'm like, you know what? I think that's partially why I gave Demira my vote, because he made that move, and like that's kind of what I was looking for, and who got me out, because that's a big move. And so I mean, like I said, I think that I made definitely some key mistakes, and I definitely think first vote, if to save Samir, I should have voted Emily out first, but what are you gonna do? That's the game. So
hindsight's always 20/20.
Yeah, 100%. And I'll admit to what mistakes I made, what I could have done differently. And I guess the question is, you know, if there were a competent host, and if I felt like I had a little bit of a chance going in to not, because if I played again, I'd be target number 1 immediately. So I mean, if I had a little bit of a chance, I would, and there was a competent host, I'd consider playing again. But like, you know, I'd be comfortable just continuing to host these things. But
well, as long as you can have another event, I'm 100% in. You know this.
Yeah.
I'd like to compete and win for my first time. Well, I guess I won Discord, but I don't count that.
Yeah, well, Nate ended up winning the Discord Survivor, by the way. That was fun. But
he was big scheming that time.
I'm always scheming. I'm always trying to win, man.
Yeah.
Always scheming.
All right, so we'll finish this out. So then, final 4, you guys, Nate, Jeremy, Nate, Demira, and Josh ended up competing in a challenge. They just swim out. It was another balloon challenge, and you guys had to swim out grab a balloon, and then like 3 of them, and you had to pop them, like swim back and pop them. And once you popped all 3 of them, then that person ended up winning. And Jeremy, I think you won this final challenge.
I remember crushing this final challenge, not just winning. I destroyed Josh, and that is actually what gave me the win.
Yeah. Because
the only way I was going to win was to take Josh out.
Mm-hmm.
And if I don't win that challenge, I'm the one that's going.
Right.
And that's really the only leverage I had in the final tribal was to talk about how if I don't beat Josh, I don't sit here.
Mm-hmm.
So winning that challenge was my only hope to be the winner. And I beat him by a pool length, I think. Not even just like a tap, like handily.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
And then, of course, I have to talk about how the fact that I'm 15 years older than an 18-year-old in his prime. And so that's really what I had to go on was I had no alliance with anybody my own age. None of my own friends were there. And here I just beat Josh, who was one of the biggest physical threats. So that was really what I think.
Yeah, it's huge. I honestly would consider you a lot like Mike from the blue collar, white collar, no collar season where he won immunities and got to the end and people respected that. So he dominated the final vote as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I definitely consider you a lot like Mike Holloway in that sense. But so you guys ended up voting out Josh. And, I mean, I guess that was never in doubt. That if Josh didn't win that immunity either, that Josh would be gone. But do you guys think that Josh would have won the final jury vote if he made it to the end?
100%. He would have won the game if he made it to the end. 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know that Josh had a great strategic game, but I think his physical dominance would have carried him through. If he would have won out,
right?
There's no doubt in my mind he would have got the votes.
Right.
Yeah,
I would have voted for him.
Yeah. That would have been his 3rd straight immunity win. So I mean that he did do great. I mean he had his head in the game at least to be able to win a couple challenges. So I mean I can respect him for that. If Josh would have been in the finals, let's assume like Jeremy gets voted out at Final 4 and it's Josh, Nate, and Demira, I probably still would have voted for Demira after he voted me out. But that's just because I respect strategic gameplay more than I guess the physical game. But I don't want to say Josh played a bad game. It's just not something that I can relate to being a physical challenge beast. But
no, I will receive 0 votes, 100%, and then Josh received probably almost all the votes, other than yours to Demira, and maybe probably yours to Demira.
Well,
which Jake, I remember thinking too when you were trying to make your vote, and you were almost advocating for Demira to win from your seat. I remember you being across the point thinking, Jake, I was your alliance. I was with you the whole way. I never tried to vote you out. And yet you were almost like, I want Demira to win. And I was like, hey, I was your alliance the whole time. I never betrayed you. And here's the guy that betrayed you. But what I realized later was that it was just respect out of his gameplay, not necessarily like,
it was nothing against your gameplay either. Like, I respected your win as well, 100%, and you would have been my second choice, had Demira not been there, or had Demira not even, been the one that sent me out.
Right.
So, but, I think Josh probably would have won then, and if he had been sitting there, I think Demira would have gotten mine and AJ's and Samir's, and that's probably it at that point. But yeah, so then we get to the final 3, and now we can kind of talk about, I guess, why Nate and Demira lost to you, Jeremy. What Nate and Demira did wrong. And I guess we can start with Nate. Nate, I mean, I think the second time, I think you definitely said it. You played a little more of the Russell Hantz game and kind of rubbed a little bit of salt in the wound the second time you played. But I can respect the fact, though, that I would argue you and I had the biggest targets on our backs going into the game.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I really don't know what else I could have done different.
Mm-hmm.
I knew it'd be hard to get the votes just out of spite, almost. I feel like
Right.
A lot of my friends didn't want to see me win, so they would never hear the end of it. So I'm sure they didn't want to. They definitely didn't want me to win. So I knew probably I wasn't going to win, but I at least wanted to get second place or get a vote. So
I will agree with that, Nate. I'm surprised you made it as far as you did, given the crowd that was surrounding you, because those guys would have wanted to see you out first, and yet you made it to the end.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's massive respect. 100%. And yeah, I mean, for both of us to make it to Final Five at least is huge, because we should have been the first two out of the game, but we weren't. But yeah.
Hey, I'll take it all day long.
All right, and then I guess we can just talk about why Demira lost, and I believe it was a 4-4 tie at first, because Josh voted for Nate to win, and then I believe Jeremy, you and Demira were tied with 4 votes each. Demira got votes from me, AJ, and Samir, I believe. I don't know who the 4th vote for him was. I assume, Jeremy, you got Jerry votes from Cassie, Emily, Trevor, and I guess it might have been Josiah that was the 4th Demira vote. I mean, it was either Josiah or Sam, I think, but I would assume maybe Josiah, but I don't know. Josiah might have been happy that Demira voted me out, so that's probably why. But I think Demira lost the second time. I think he was a little bit quieter, and he wasn't. He was. I think Nate said it before the podcast, before we hit record. Like, he had much better competition than he did the first time around. And I think he wasn't used to interacting with this kind of a crowd. But for him to fly under the radar again and get no votes against him, I don't think is also really impressive. So I don't know what you guys think of what Demira could have done differently.
Well, I know from my perspective, I did not really have any kind of a strategy or scheme going with Demira during the entire game. So maybe it's just one of those where we didn't have a relationship going into it or a friendship, and then just not being comfortable, and so yeah, from my perspective, it was he was kind of working with you and I was working with you, but I never really directly worked with him. So
yeah, and I think him voting me out was like, he wanted to say like, hey, I got rid of who you guys would have thought I would have been riding the coattails of, and I needed to do that to get the respect. So, and so I definitely think, Jeremy, you won. I think that final immunity was pretty crucial. I think you definitely played a respectful game. I don't think you pissed anybody off. And I definitely think you 100% deserved the win. So.
Well, thanks, and I would agree with. I needed that final immunity to even be sitting there, obviously, but that's the only way that I am even end this podcast today. Because if I didn't win, you wouldn't be calling me to be talking about this. So it comes down to beating Jake, and that's why I'm here today.
Yeah.
Heck of a winner, that's for sure.
Yeah. So I guess we can get to rankings, and Kearney can chip in from what he's heard. So Nate, Kearney, and I will rank you, Jeremy, out of 6 for each of us. Jeremy, I gave you a 5. I think maybe the final immunity might knock you a little. I don't necessarily think challenge wins should knock someone back, though, that much, because if you have to win and you know you need to win and you do it, then that's pulling out the clutch move right there. And you had a pretty good social game, so I definitely think 5 is a respectable score. So, yeah, that's what I'm giving you, 5 out of 6.
Yeah, I'm along the same lines. I'd go like 5, 5.5. Just because we gave Demira already a perfect score for how he won, and then he placed second place. He got a perfect score, but you're right behind him, and I'd say you're number 2 in the survivor world. Yeah.
All right, so Nate has a 5.5 out of 5. Kearney, from listening to this, what are you gonna give Jeremy?
I mean, I think I gotta go with the 5, man. Like, everything I've heard's been real good. I'm probably not biased, but just the only reason I wouldn't go in higher is, like, I didn't hear anything that was, like, so insane. I would have to bump you up to a 6, and I didn't get to play with you. So I think 5 is pretty reasonable for what I've heard today.
You know what? I'm happy with 5. Really, honestly, like if I think back on it, just playing my strategy with people, it was more one-on-one, and there wasn't any major move that I made that got blindsided or voted anybody out that I could really take credit for. So
yeah,
I'll take 5. I'm happy with that.
For sure. So
fought the good fight and came out on top.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that score. So a 5 plus 5.5 plus 5 divided by 3. Jeremy comes out with a 5.2 as his average score. So that will put him, below Demira and above Caleb right now. So.
Nice.
Sweet. So, and now we'll do Nate. So Nate won't rank himself, so it'll be me, Jeremy, and Kearney ranking Nate out of 6.
6 out of 6.
I'm gonna give you a 5.5. I think for every time you played like the target you had on your back and you've managed to make it far every single time is extremely impressive. I think I only knock you back a bit because of I guess the second time just because of social game was a little bit the second time, but I think I understand how competitive you get and the fact that if you didn't do what you did, you wouldn't be sitting in the finals. So
Nate, I gotta say, may not have won this game or even the last game, but because you look like Syndrome, perfect 6 would be a 7 if that was an option.
That's what I'm talking about.
All right, Jeremy.
And Nate, I would love to follow up Kearney with that 6, but I'm going to go right in between and give you that 5.5, strictly because you gave me a 5.5. So there you go.
I'll take it.
All right, so that's going to give Nate a really high score. So 5.5 plus the 5.5 plus the 6 divided by 3. Nate, you have a 5.7 for your average, so that's really, really good.
Calling Ric Flair.
Yeah. All right, and I guess we did season rankings for the last podcast. I know Kearney wasn't a part of this season, but we can kind of, and I guess you guys haven't been a part of everyone, but last time I said Demira's season was my number 1, and Caleb's win was and Nate and Kearney's season last season was number 2. I put this season at 3. I might be a little biased just because I love the ones I've hosted. But I love talking about this because it's a season that we haven't talked over that much, and so just getting to hear the insight from Jeremy and from all 3 of us it's just been great to hear that. So I guess I don't know if you guys want to put input on season rankings, or is there anything else we want to rank?
It was a fun season. We had some great challenges.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely under the radar because we didn't get to capture it at all with video or pictures or anything. So that stinks. Because I think it could have been possibly a fan favorite.
Yeah.
There's a lot of strategic game talk going on that a lot of people didn't see.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I think it's up there for one of my favorites personally. But
yeah.
Being as the only one I've ever played in, it was phenomenal. I was well organized. It was fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that I remember immediately thinking, if they do this again, I want to play again.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I just think the combination between friend groups coming together like that, so you kind of already have alliances coming into it.
Yeah.
And then how that played out was cool. So definitely an enjoyable season, and I would entertain a comeback someday if you guys ever organize something.
If we ever do an All-Stars.
That's what I'm
Heck
saying.
yeah.
There we go.
I would love to do an
We could
All-Stars.
get a full try. We could get a full try, full 2-3 tribes.
I would love
There we go.
I would love to do old school, so that would be all through this season against the Adrian College seasons or new school, That would be entertaining because you could get a really good team, a really good group of all-stars from both eras to play.
I 100% agree. You should organize it.
Yeah.
Get it going.
Once the pandemic is a little bit less scary, then maybe we can try to organize something.
Yeah, I'll see you in 2022.
Yeah. All right. Anything else? Are we good?
I'm just gonna add.
We're good. I got work.
Bernie, you can go.
Just real quick. I wasn't in that season, but it sounds like it was another really concise season following 3 because, as we talked about previously, the first 2 were kind of like dumpster fires, and this one seemed like it actually had a start and an end, and additionally a lot of new people that the first 3 we recycled a lot of the same people, and this one sounds like it was something a little fresh,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
I agree. All right. Yeah. Well, we will see you guys next week. Hopefully, I'm gonna get my buddy JJ, who ended up winning season 5, on. He is most known for making the ballsy move of giving up immunity and at tribal council and not getting voted out. So we're going to talk about that and how he was able to turn that into a win, because it's very impressive, and very excited to talk about that and what I think is a very strategic season. So the first of the Adrian College seasons. So yeah, thanks for doing this.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep, thanks for having me yet again.
Hey, it's a pleasure catching up with you guys.
For sure.
Yeah, look for a text message later in this week. We'll have to catch up and get together again.
I would love that. That'd be great.
Yeah.
I've been busy with work, but
I've probably been in the busiest season since the shutdown. Everything at work has just been crazy. So.
Damn.
Well, all right. Well, I'll talk to you guys later. It's been a pleasure.
All right, boys.
Sweet.
Thanks a lot.
Yep.
Peace.
Bye.
Catch you later.